Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here. It's time for another one of my favorite things we do each week, and that is to spotlight the folks at GSU E&I and the Main Street Fund, folks that are really changing the landscape of the entrepreneurial world in Atlanta. So today on GSU E&I Radio, we have Cordero Tanner with Athleaders 360. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on today.
Well, I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us about Athleaders 360. How you serving folks?
Yeah, so Athleaders 360 is a leadership development organization for young athletes. And we help youth sports coaches develop the skills needed to coach the next generation of leaders. In the sports world, there's a deep divide between the expectations of youth sports coaches and the actual competencies of those coaches. Of the 6.5 million youth coaches in the United States, only 30% of them have any kind of training. And sports is one of the only areas where adults are allowed to guide youth with no skills or training. So at Athleaders, we focus on equipping coaches with the best practices in youth development so they can develop a coaching framework that is child-centered, looks at the full lives out in the communities they're from, and uses social justice to holistically develop their athletes.
So how did this idea come about? What was the genesis? Did something happen that kind of got you fired up about this issue and this way to tackle it?
So I've always had a strong passion for sports. I remember when I was in the fifth grade, I declared myself the assistant basketball coach of my teacher's girls basketball team. Had a whistle and everything. And, it was in college when I actually got my first chance to be a volunteer coach for a fourth grade basketball team. And my experiences, coupled with what I was learning in my sociology classes and public health. And I was actually, what I was seeing in youth development, I was seeing the link between social inequities in sports and thinking there could be a way to actually holistically develop youth. So in spring of 2020, right before the pandemic hit, I created Athleaders because, they often say, coaches say they don't care about what you know until they know that you care. So I felt like, this was the opportunity to, train other coaches and be able to show our athletes that, we care about them and that we can give them all the tools that they need to be leaders in this world.
And at the heart of it, though, is the athletes, right? Where the person that chooses to be part of a sport, to be part of a team, they have kind of the core fundamentals, maybe that aren't fully developed yet, but at least there's an opportunity to develop these athletes as true leaders. And with the right training and coaching, they can really kind of wring out the most value of being an athlete leader, whether they are become a professional athlete or not. Just fundamentally, the skills they're going to gain, if trained properly, are going to serve them the rest of their life.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the things that we like to say is we do the work for the athletes, but we do it through our coaches. If you know anything about, the sports world, athletes work their coaches anywhere between 12 to 25 hours per week. And that a lot of times that's more than they're with any other adult. So we saw that, the coach athlete relationship is a very critical relationship that if we can get it right and we can give these coaches the tools that they need, that we could really launch these athletes and have them prepared for the world, whether or not they, make it to that next level or not. They'll be ready for life regardless.
Now, how did you develop this methodology around what you're going to be coaching these coaches about in order to serve their athletes that they're working with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been a coach now for probably a little bit over 10 years. So I'm deeply rooted in the coaching world. But also, like I said earlier, my relationship with players, that I've had in the past, and you know, the players that I coached, they've said these are the things they need. Like they verbalized those things that, you know, they need more support from their coaches. They want to be heard from their coaches, and they seek this relationship. So everything that we've done with athletes is deeply rooted in the community. Everything is based on the needs of our athletes, but also we have input from coaches, and, you know, saying, you know, where they need help in and where areas that they're weak in. So everything that we do at Athletes has been rooted in what the coaches and the athletes need.
But as a coach, there's different styles of coaching. I mean, you have some that are kind of the old school, yell at you and berate you to build you back up again. There's others that are more nurturing and more like kind of players coaches. How do you kind of land on, or do you land on a methodology, or do you just say, here's some best practices and just incorporate them, you know, that fits in a way that fits your personality and your style?
Yeah, so that's another great question. I believe, you know, for the most part, there are multiple coaching styles, but what we do is we just tell coaches, like, here's what your current generation of athletes need. Here are the things that they believe in. Here are the things that they value, and here are the things that they want to see in their leaders. And we give them those best practices so they can, in turn, translate, you know, add that into their coaching philosophy so they can be the best coaches for their athletes.
And then right now, what stage are you at? You've obviously developed some methodology. Is any of your work happening right now?
Yeah, so just this summer we had 5 leadership retreats where we brought in athletes. We got them away from the hustle and bustle of everyday world, and we took them into the mountains. And, you know, we did a lot of personal development, identity development, talked about mental health, and, you know, just gave them the opportunity to develop bonds with their peers, their teammates. And actually, in this fall, this coming fall, we're going to have our first coaches fellowship, where we're going to work with coaches and really just work on that idea of being a transformational coach for your players.
So the first retreat was athlete focused, and then the next one's going to be coach focused? Exactly.
So one of our methods is we focus on athletes. We talk to them. We learn the things that they need, the things that they want, and really figure out the areas in which they're struggling in and where coaches can be best helpful. And then we take what we learn and we give it to the coaches.
And then so moving forward, are you going to have services that are geared directly to the athlete as well as services that are aimed at the coaches, or is it going to be one or the other, or it's both right now?
Currently, it's both right now. I believe it's important to really focus on both, and that way, by focusing on our athletes, we're always, you know, the new challenges and the things that they're going through, so we could give our coaches the latest and most up-to-date information to help them, so they got the best tools to help their athletes.
So how did you learn about the Main Street Fund?
I actually learned about it from a participant in cohort 2, Alyssa. We did the Civic Atlanta Fellowship with the Center for Civic Innovation. We did that together, and she was like, "You should apply. You know, you're at Georgia State." And I was like, "Okay, I'll apply." So that's how I found out about it.
Can you share maybe some ways that going through the program, how that's helped you grow your business, or maybe position it?
Yeah, so since I've started the fellowship, things have been going really great. You know, I've developed a lot of partnerships, important partnerships with people in the city of Atlanta, and I've also, you know, been able to learn a lot from you know, MK and his team there, and Erica. They've really been very helpful and very hands-on, and been able to, you know, catapult the people that are in the fellowship. So it's been a great experience. But then I would say the most important thing and the thing that I'm most excited is to being around like peers who are on this entrepreneurial journey with me. And, we can be able to, share our wins, share our losses, and, be there to support each other. So that's one of the main things that I'm most excited about, being a part of this cohort.
Now, do you have any advice you could share for other founders, that are thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship and maybe are hesitant a little because, not everybody is kind of wants to be that founder that wants to be that person that's following this type of path. Some people, want to just go to school, get a degree, get a job. Any advice for that person that maybe has in the back of their head, I think I want to try this entrepreneur path?
Yeah, entrepreneurship is definitely not easy. So I guess the main thing that I would say, and what's been most helpful for me, is finding you a community, a supportive community that's going to be there for you. It's going to call to check on you if they haven't heard from you in a while. That's going to give you constructive criticism and advice. So find you that close community that you can lean on when times get hard, and that you can celebrate when you reach your accomplishment. So I would say that's the main thing. Like, if you're going to go down this route, you have to get you a strong, tight community that you can rely on throughout the whole process.
So what do you need more of? How can we help you?
Oh, well, right now, if anyone's listening and you have a youth sports organization and you feel like your coaches need any training, feel free to contact me. And also, you're a school district or something and you want some coaches trainings or want us to work with your athletes, you can contact us at athleaders360.org and we'll love to partner with you.
And that's ATHLEADERS, the number 3, the number 6, the number 0.org.
That's correct.
Well, congratulations on all the success, and thank you so much for sharing your story. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed my time.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on GSU ENI Radio.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com.